Hey guys, welcome to game number 5 between HuK and DIMAGA. HuK is spawning as the blue Protoss at the left hand side, and DIMAGA is spawning as the red Zerg on the right hand side. DIMAGA did pick this map after game number 4, and let's see what he has in store for HuK. I think many people will agree with me when I say this is a Zerg favor map, or Zerg more so than Protoss, as this is a relatively wide choke. It's very difficult to block this, and as a matter of fact, it's kind of hard to even block it with 4 or 5 buildings because it is not going to be bailing proof, it's not going to be Zergling proof, so there are many choices for the Zerg player to abuse the wide choke. Some players like to block off here, as this is kind of the same choke as here, but that's really your preference, whether or not you want to fast and early expand. One probe going around for HuK, and the Overlord is going to be in HuK space very shortly. Some serious drone production going on, along with probe production for HuK. Now HuK's probe is able to get inside the base, and let's see if he's going to be able to do any damage or delay any building structures. And no, it looks like he's actually going to leave the base. Very strange. Oh, he forgot to check the expansion for DIMAGA. Most players usually check the expansion before they get in because it's sort of on the way, but it looks like HuK actually thinks DIMAGA is gonna fast expand. That's why he set a whole bunch of rally points here so that he will prevent the expansion from going up. The Overlord hovering over HuK space, and another Overlord is probably going to check out what the probe is doing, as the probe has exited his base and he does not know if the probe has placed down any proxy pylons. This is one way to block off the ramp. As you see here, HuK is deciding to block off only as part of it, and he's probably going to finish a triangular shaped block off like so, because this way he limits the Zerg's options and also gets the Protoss player a nice surround, because it's very difficult to surround this straight large ramp as it is very large and much larger than usual. Here the probe going in, checking out what buildings DIMAGA has up, and 2 Zergling spawns, and they should be able to chase this one probe out. A core is going up for HuK, as well as a assimilator. Not a lot of action going on so far. I think HuK is playing very defensive this game because he's not quite sure if there's going to be a bailing bus coming, as this is not a very good building placement for bailing bus, because this is a point of interest that the bailings can get through. So is this, and so is this. A lot of very difficult building placements for Protoss and Terran players on this map, especially against the Zerg. We see an evolution chamber going into the ground for DIMAGA, and he's actually getting his first expansion. A pylon's a little bit further away from the base, and a Stargate is going down for HuK. This is very popular for many players, to place a pylon a little bit away from the main base, so that if there's any scout by the Overlord, they would be able to maybe hide it for a couple more seconds or get a couple of units to snipe the Overlord. And this one probe will be able to see that there's not too much going on inside the base. I don't know if he's seen this expansion. No, HuK has not seen the expansion, so he does not know that DIMAGA has expanded just yet. And these units will be able to get a surround on any Zerglings or Zerg units that decide to enter up in this region. And this one Zealot is the gatekeeper for the Protoss. Phoenixes are always a great addition for the Protoss army, especially against the Zerg, because they can help pick out the Overlords, and they can give you quite a bit of scouting information. We see one. Ooh, this sentry is actually getting stuck. I think if I were HuK, I would have canceled this building and redo it, because that's 100 gas pretty much wasted in this one unit. He cannot use the ability. This is probably going to be a base defender, as it cannot leave this corner, which is weird. You would think you'd be able to get out of this. Phoenix is picking off the Overlord, and the Phoenix now will be able to freely move around the map and see exactly what DIMAGA is doing. A lot of players at this point will want to throw down a building for Hydralisk, as that is not necessary. 3 queens per 1 base will help you fend off these early Phoenix harasses, and queens do not cause any gas at all, whereas Hydralisks are sort of a investment in gas that you might or might not want to make. So it's good not to let the opponent force you to build certain things, as DIMAGA has decided to go with more queens. There's 3 queens on this base, and he has 1 queen in this base. You want to have additional queens because that will prevent your queens from getting picked up and sniped off by the Phoenix. And this one Zergling does manage to take down 1 probe, as HuK is scouting around with his Phoenixes, taking a couple of shots at the Overlords. But his queen is able to move relatively quickly on creep, and he's able to deal with these 3 Phoenixes. I think now the queen count for DIMAGA is up to 5. This one Zergling was able to see the unit mix for HuK. A nice healthy combination of Zealots, Sentries, and Stalkers. And that one Sentry is left behind by his buddies. Here we see some additional harassment of the Overlords by these Phoenixes, but they won't be able to do too much, as there are many queens around the base. So these 3 Phoenixes were not able to snipe off any Overlords just yet. A Robo and a Gateway going down for HuK, and HuK is now opting to block off his 2 entrances to his base. One entrance by a Robo facility and a gateway, the other one by 2 gateways and maybe an additional structure and another gateway. So this way he is pretty much safe from all Zergling attacks, but he would be susceptible to range attacks from the Zerg, because you can always place sentries that will prevent the Zerglings from surrounding or getting near these buildings, and you can take shots at them because you still would outrange them. And here we see the Phoenixes trying to get some more harass or more scouting information. I think because these queens are so abundant in both the natural base, in the base and also the natural expansion for DIMAGA, it is difficult for HuK to get much scouting information, as he did lose 1 Phoenix. A second Phoenix potentially going down very close to death there. DIMAGA is leading quite a bit in terms of resources and drones and workers, and he's putting down 5 spine crawlers and a sprawl crawler just in case HuK sends any DTs his way, as he does not have that much scouting information on the Protoss player. He has opted to get a lot of resources, a lot of units, and a lot of queens. Ground weapons 1 going for HuK, but DIMAGA already has ground armor 1 finished, so that would just nullify the upgrade that DIMAGA already has. Not too much unit production going on for the Protoss player HuK. I think he's trying to decide to play it safe and remain within his 2 base, because 2 base Protoss versus 2 base Zerg is not that bad. It's a good position to be in for any player. These 2 Phoenixes still scouting around the map. This is leading up to an almost Cold War-like feeling, as both players are not really attacking each other. They're just checking each other out and building up more and more forces. I think we're going to see one huge 200 versus 200 battle where the micro is going to come into a huge play. Only 1 Colossus so far for HuK. And we see an Ultralisk Cavern going up for DIMAGA. And a second expansion, 3rd base. And right now we see 4 Ultralisks being produced by DIMAGA. that could be very troublesome for these gateway units to deal with, because gateway units, they tend to clump up and they don't do that much damage to the Ultralisk. A good way to deal with Ultralisk is to go air or get a bunch of Immortals, as they do not take that much damage from the Ultralisk, and because the Immortal does so much damage to units with armor, they should be able to take it down no problem. But this is not a good unit mix against the Ultralisk. And here we see HuK destroying his gateway because this creep is getting into his base and he probably wants to prevent it from moving any further. Zergling's moving out to the center of the map where the high yield expansion is. I think what would help HuK a great deal right now is to get one detector, one observer inside the base to see what kind of units he's dealing against, because I don't think he knows that. Oh, he does know that there is an Ultralisk cavern. But this is not the unit mix you want to use against Ultralisks. For Ultralisks right now, for DIMAGA, 3 more on the way. I think that should be able to be enough to handle this, as Ultralisks are massive, and therefore they can crush the force fields placed by HuK. Zergling's trying to get in on a surround, but they were blocked off by these 3 gateways. Great investment, only 450 minerals to prevent a surround by the Zerg. And tensions are increasing between these 2 players, as HuK is not sure if he wants to engage. He does have one observer. He should really send it ahead to see what's ahead. And here we see maybe HuK is gonna go in for an attack here, and we see the Ultralisks are coming in, surrounding the units. They're killing off quite a number of zealots, and these Colossus really need to focus fire to take down these Ultralisks, as if they do not kill them, the Queen can always replenish their HP with transfusion. And I think that is what we're going to be seeing very, very soon, as he does one Queen transfuses another Queen, and now they're going to be transfusing the Ultralisks. One sentry still stuck behind. The Colossus misfire and takes down the Creep Tumor. They should have really tried to snipe off that one low HP Ultralisk. Right now we're nearing the stage of 200 food, where the unit composition is really important. HuK only has 4 gateways, 5, 6, 7 gateways, 8, 9, 10 gateways. This is a very good unit composition against these Colossus.